right, shalom, shalom. It's good. Gone. So yeah, Salaki for the technical difficulties. Satan trying to hinder, but we're gonna keep it moving. Keep it moving through the spirit power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. But all right, I don't know where we at before we got cut off. So
last rap to St. John 9.
Yeah. Let's jump back to that.
Yeah. All right, this is back in St. John 9:1. And as Yahushua passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? All right, and then that's when the Spirit had led us to go to grab that Matthew, when we went into the example of, we talked about how, different of our forefathers, when Yahushua had asked, who do men say that I am, they mentioned various prophets. So letting it be known that our forefathers understood reincarnation, right? About coming back, prophets coming back, spirits coming back, right? But
and they understood judgment. Because they asking why was that man born blind? Did he sin? How did he sin if he was born blind? So they knew about what? That spirit coming back, man. Or did his parents? When you go into that, it goes into what? His ancestors. So basically it's saying who sinned? What it was him. In what life did they sin for him this judgment to come upon him? But we know that man, was destined, or he was born blind so that Yahushua can heal him, to show forth, Yahushua's power, man.
And just real quick, because the brother mentioned that word, when you look it up in the blue letter for parents, it says fathers, the parents, but it's the Greek word gonias, which is a masculine noun, so it alludes to the fathers. So, your forefathers, coming back in the reincarnation and everything like that. But to finish the verse, and his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Yahushua answered, neither hath this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of the Most High should be made manifest in him.
Okay. So let's move on. Let's grab that Jonah.
This is Jonah chapter verse 1.
Even being born blind, that's a condition,
right?
Which what is hell. Yahushua said, fear not him that can destroy the body, but fear him that can destroy both body and soul in hell. Meaning what? In the condition, the Lord can have you born back in a disabled body, man.
Just
see, the Lord can have you born blind. The Lord can have you born without limbs, bro. People are born with goddamn 2 heads. Like these are different judgments that take place, man. You see? Yeah, that was years ago. You had the Hamite chick, man. Brothers can type that in YouTube or Google. Head in a bucket. She was literally, a head in a bucket, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, that's a horrible fucking, that's hell right there, bro. That's hell, man. Where the Lord had her body so shriveled up and so goddamn, and kept her alive at that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is hell right there, man.
One kid that was on that show, he was like
trying to.
He was doing this. Oh, he like to play with that? No, that nigga, my misery.
They said he was trapped in a kid's body, right?
Yeah, I think they said he was 19, 20 or some shit like that.
There's another one right now. It went viral recently, and the caption was like, "Oh, be thankful" or something, and it was a conjoined twins or whatever they call them. So it's 2 twins stuck together, and his brother is a Mo, and he in a whole relationship, so he gotta be there, and bro. Bogus, bro.
Bro, I seen that fucking weird ass skit, bro.
And that's the thing about this society, because this place knoweth no shame. It was one video where it was this fucking nigga woman, Joe. She had these shriveled up ass legs. She was in
a
wheelchair.
The electronic one.
Yeah, she twerking and shit, man. See, these people don't know no shame. See, the reason these people are disabled and they're going through what they're going through is because of wickedness.
Yeah.
And then this society pushes what?
Pride. Be proud.
Don't be ashamed that your ass retarded.
Embrace it.
Don't be ashamed that you disabled. Like nah, man. These things are meant to humble.
That's what scripture says. Because of great pride comes those strange calamities. Weird shit. That's everything I'm hearing is strange ass calamities. A motherfucker in a bucket, man. All right, nigga with small ass legs, trying to twerk, bro. Motherfuckers, the Lord is doing weird shit to motherfuckers already, and it's just gonna get more weirder, man. You know, the fucking mountain falling up on that shit, man. A whole mountain just broke up and fell on a ship and killed the motherfuckers on the boat, man. The Lord's finna do really weird shit to these people because of that pride, man. You know,
you repent, you shall all likewise perish.
And pride has reached its height, man. When you could be retarded and not ashamed of it, when you could be 300 pounds talking about you want a high value man, bro. Bro. I ain't never seen nothing like that in my lifetime. You know, but
That's been a while.
yeah. You got it.
What is that, Ciroc?
Yeah, that's Jonah.
Back in Jonah chapter 2 and verse 1, it says, Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his power out of the fish's belly, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord. And he heard me out of the belly of hell, cried I, and thou heardest my voice.
Right. So he's swallowed up by this big ass sea creature, man. Ain't no telling stomach acid and all kind of, different smells and shit that you did, He said what? He cried out of the belly of hell. So is that a place? So everybody that died, they go to a fish belly?
Dwelling in the fish belly.
Yeah, whenever you die, nigga, your ass gonna go to this sea monster's belly. Like, nah. So she'll show you that what the condition that the Lord put Jonah in because of his disobedience. It's the same thing that took place when the Lord brought us over here on slave ships, man. Or the conquistadors when they came over here and they put hell on the northern kingdom. And now we're all subject unto what? Unto Esau, Edom. That's why Jake's speaking Spanish, Jake's speaking French, Jake's speaking English. And then Jake is experiencing hell over here in this place, man. Let's hit that next one.
I got one in Matthew.
That's Rock 51. So go ahead.
This is Matthew 11 and 23. It says, And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works which have been done in thee have been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day.
Right. So the people of Capernaum, what was they was dwelling in heaven. They was up there floating on clouds, man. No, it's talking about what? How rich and how luxurious they was living in that place. But then what? The Lord brought judgment by the hand of those Romans during that time and got brought to hell. And now modern day Capernaum is likened unto America. America is that luxurious city that's been living luxuriously, exalted to the heavens, man. Which is what going to be brought down to hell, meaning the condition that this place is going to be brought down into. You got more in there, Out?
No, that was it.
There's the book of Sirach, chapter 51. And you want me to start at the top or?
Nah, you can just get straight to this.
Okay. Sirach 51 and 5. From the depth of the belly of hell, from an unclean tongue, and from lying words, by an accusation to the king.
So imagine that, man. Somebody accused you. That's today's time. They going to the authorities, and they saying, "Oh, well, he stole this out my house," or "He threatened me by gunpoint and go up the band." So now the authorities is out looking for you. So this is what was happening during the Grecian Empire. You had a particular wicked individual lie against Sirach, man. And saying what, man? He did this, that, and the third, or whatever. So what? His life was hanging in doubt. So it's just showing you once again what the condition that he was going through. And it said how the Lord delivered him from the belly of hell, meaning the Lord delivered him from that condition that he was in, to where his life was being threatened. There's also another one where King David said, "Hell have prevented me." Okay, yeah, hold that on deck. You can finish it out.
It says, can I read one verse just for a point in the fire?
Go ahead, Al.
All right, verse 4, it says, From the choking of fire on every side, and from the midst of the fire which I kindle not. So he's talking about the situation, like the brother explained, that he was in, and he compared it even into a fire. Because that flame, that fire is likened unto what? Tribulation, the hell, the suffering, right? It says, from the depth of the belly of hell, from an unclean tongue, and from lying words, by an accusation to the king, from an unrighteous tongue. My soul drew near even unto death. My life was near to the hell beneath. So showing you how close he was brought to death because of this accusation. You getting accused, all right, before the king. It's like, well, shit, the king, he was like, all right, put him to death.
Yeah, and even in that verse, explain what that hell he meant right there. He said, my life was almost brought to the hell beneath. So in that context, what is hell? You know, hey, yeah, bro. But in that context, the hit is from the grave. My life was almost brought down into the grave. You know, you got more?
No.
Right. So just a few precepts, man, just to show, depending on the context of the scripture, you know, it's going into what a condition that our forefathers have found themselves in. You know, you say you got that with King David out.
This is Psalms 18:4. It says, "The sorrows of death compassed me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about."
You see, the sorrows of hell compassed me about, but the previous verse, what did he say compassed them?
Ungodly men.
Ungodly men. So what? His life was being threatened. So because of the situation that he found himself in, he called that what? Hell, man. We're in hell now, surrounded by our enemies.
Valley of the shadow of death.
You know, where our life hanging down. You see? But Jake don't proceed with it. There's a precept in Isaiah where it says that the Lord kindled fire, but Jake didn't perceive it. You know? So here it is. The Lord placed us in hell, and Jake think it's some fucking place underground, man. And your ass is already in here burning. Going through constant affliction, man. Being persecuted by this society, broke as hell, living paycheck to paycheck. The scriptures in Sirach, it speaks about the curse of the poor. I'm roughly paraphrasing it. The curse of the poor is poverty. You know, and it talks about, you know, man, how is it worded, bro? But anyway, I'm just, you know, explaining how it's in my head that being in this low condition, in this low state continually, man, it's a stressful environment, man. And it puts hella fucking mental stress, you know, and anguish on your mind. And this is why our people the way that they are. And then you lose hope, you know. And then what? It affects your health. On top of what? The things that Jake be eating and all this, man. So this is hell in this place, man.
Well, the precept your call put in the group meet when we were talking about it earlier, it says, "Give not thy mind over to heaviness, for sorrow hath killed many." You know, but it says to love thine own soul. It was a spirit, because I sent a couple brothers here a video. I was driving in the morning, and down in front of Jake's spot, you know, where Jake worked at downtown, there was a motherfucker about to jump off the parking garage. So they had that whole shit blocked off, bunch of firefighters, police, and I went down to the store, and me and this one Edomite were talking about it, and another guy came in. He's like, "Yeah, man, that happens a lot. It's been happening a lot recently, the past couple weeks. Like people just trying to take their own lives and this and that." And then they were just talking about different accounts. Last month, we had that motherfucker that worked at the U.S. or whatever it is, the embassy or whatever downtown. He shot himself at work, you know. And they're like, "Yeah, man, people are just walking around stressed out. It's like everybody's on edge, everybody's stressed." And that's the result.
That was when the police officer in the court, right?
Yeah, he was a worker.
Yeah,
he was a worker. You know, so.
Yeah, man. And then what did it say? The hearts of people do languish. And that word languish means signs of approaching doom.
Yeah.
So this society is through.
Yeah.
You know, but just to, you know, go back to the point, is that what, man? It has been experiencing this for the longest. See, this is something that Esau and these proud ass people of America are just now being, you know, acquainted with, man. But Jake been going through this, man. You know, Jake been suffering these things. You see? But let's go to the next pre.
Can I finish this?
Yeah, bro.
It says Psalms 18:5. The sorrows of hell passed me about. The snares of death prevented me. Just to finish that off.
King David wasn't burning in some place, man.
Right.
All right. He was talking about on earth how he was dealing with what he was dealing with, and he likened it onto hell. You know.
And nobody's been. Well, where does Jake reside? In the ghetto. All right. You know, the ghetto is a low place. It's a low condition.
Yes.
You know, they don't. The food. They have what food
That's what I'm
deserts.
gonna say, huh?
Yeah, they got food deserts. Okay, the nutrition is low. All right, the morality is low. They pushing all this whole culture up. The ghetto, like
Gang banging.
Esau, literally has what is called hood safaris. Okay, they have buses that they get on, and they tour the fucking ghettos and look at Jake like a fucking animal, man. You know, that's the lowest of the low. Oh, you got the favelas. Okay, you got the Reds. Oh my God, don't even get started on the Reds, man. They don't even got running water, man. This is the lowest condition Jake has ever been in. This is hell we're in, man. And for any Israelite to push any otherwise, you're wicked, man. The scripture says, the wicked desire the neck of evil men, man. So you desire to be in bondage, man. You trust in perverseness, man. Which proves you're a demon. Only demons like being in hell,
Yep. So if we ain't got nothing concerning condition anymore, let's move over to the next one, man, where it goes into hell is the actual grave.
I have one more real quick.
Go ahead, up.
This is
Should have said something. Speak up, brother.
Matthew 16 and verse 10. It reads, "And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." So the precept showing us a condition, the afflictions that come up against the body, will prevail.
Yeah.
That's the house of David we're talking about now.
these people's incredulity. That's a part of it, because that's it troubles us. Okay, to a point. You know what I'm saying? It does. Seeing all this fucking unbelief when we believe, especially coming in early on in the truth, man. That weighs on you. Seeing all this fucking incredulity, all these people speaking against the Lord.
Yep. Let's go to the next phase. Because that Sirach says what? My life was close to the hell beneath. Right? So showing you that what? Hell also represents the grave. So let's grab that in Amos 9. Another brother grabs Psalms where it says, "Whither will I flee from thy spirit? If I fly into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, thou art there." So they're showing you that what? Hell is what? The grave. You dig in the dirt, man. That's you digging into hell. So it ain't no mystical place, man. That's on fire that you go after you die. So we can run those down.
Amos chapter 9 and verse 1. "I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, Smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, all of them. And I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth of them shall not flee away, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. Though they dig into hell, thence," so you can't just
Dig into the ground.
right. It says, "Though they dig into hell."
And what's that going into? The what they call the DUMBs, deep underground military bases. Bases, bunker. It's the same thing. So these underground bases, that these people have, man. So they dig into hell. You see?
Yep.
So it's the grave.
Yep.
It says, "Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for the time has come that I shall bring the calamity of Esau upon him," showing you that that's where he's gonna go when he sees that calamity coming. He says, "Are they gonna say to the rocks, fall on us?" You know what I'm saying? That's him, trying to flee from the face of the judgment.
I think so.
Yeah.
It says, "Though they dig into hell, then shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down." In NLT, it says, "Even if they dig down to the place of the dead," that's the grave. They
Right.
dig into the earth. That's all it's talking about. It's not that crucial.
It ain't mystical, but see, they got this mystical. They got this goddamn.
Magical eyes.
Yeah,
Harry Potter.
This fucking
Fairy tale.
Imagination. It's more imagination of what the Lord knows. It's talking about.
It's watching Little Nicky.
Right.
You know what I'm
Nigga
saying?
too
Like,
much.
your ass
Get in the
bored.
flask.
Get that shit.
Yeah.
that shit out of here.
Which is a funny movie, by the way, but like that shit ain't real, man. You know what? The nigga Hitler was down there. They could shove pineapples up this nigga ass every time. Like, nah, bro. It ain't going down like that, man. Oh, you had Yeshaya from the old school, man.
Yeah.
You know, he
Oh,
pop,
yeah.
Satan bend you over and pop you. Like, what are you talking about, man?
Little Nikki doctrine.
Yeah, see these dudes, yes, go ahead, bro.
It's like we had mentioned earlier, the cunningly devised fables, man. You know, be stemming from all them cunningly devised fables, man. That's just passed over through time.
Yeah.
And the book of Sirach talks about how ungodly custom gets strength throughout generations, roughly paraphrasing it. So
Okay.
certain stories, like you mentioned, Dante Inferno, all right. And then when you jump to Paradise Lost.
Well, it was like during the time of the Vikings. Somebody had to start that goddamn bullshit.
Yeah, bro.
Thor, the thunder is Thor hammer, you know, and the ocean with waves. It's the big sea snake. You know that folklore bullshit, and then it came so prevalent in their culture to where they was able to pass that shit down by word of mouth. Now,
And then they be adding different shit to it, you know.
now they got stories to these different gods and Munir and all that, you know, with brothers, you know, into the Viking shows and you know.
Jake could tell a story, man.
But it's the same shit when it comes to what this Christianity now, man.
Exactly.
You know.
Hey, that's why. Hey, Jake could tell a story, man. And that's why. Hey, Hollywood been suffering until they've been actually letting Jake make movies, man. And Jake been, you know.
Well, like that. That's an original movie that Sinners. What's my man name?
Ryan Coogler.
Yeah, you know that was a movie he wrote that he put together, and it's like that's a good ass movie.
Like, damn.
Nice storyline. How many times a nigga can make a vampire movie, bro? Like,
yeah.
you know that shit get exhausting. Like, another nigga, you know, Blade,
Right.
you know, Dracula, Nosferatu they just came out with, man. It's like, bro, like, come on, bro. It's the same shit, but then it's like, dog, that was a refreshing take on a vampire movie. And it's a Jake, you know. So like the brother said, Jake come with those stories, man. And this is why Paul said, give not heed to cunningly devised fables, man, because Jacob makes some shit sound good.
As a motherfucker.
Entertaining, enticing.
Animated as fuck.
Well, a lot of those stories we talk about the Vikings, that was Jake.
That was all Jake.
You know, then when you talk about Zeus and a lot of those Hercules and all, you know, Jake was making that shit up, man. You know.
That's it on the homework.
All right, but yeah, let's run them down.
All right. This is Acts chapter 2 and verse 27.
I got the one in Psalm 34.
Well, that's what we did. We'll have to hit that one right after. This is Acts chapter 2 and verse 27. It says, because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption.
Corruption meaning decay. You know, so this was a prophecy concerning our Lord Yahweh Shah being put in the grave and how his body wouldn't decay. Because the Lord was going to raise him up after 3 days, man. You know? But he called it hell. It's talking about the grave. You see? It ain't nothing fucking magical about it, man.
I think they even teach that Yahweh Shai
Went to hell. Well, they said that based off Peter. In the book of Peter, it says that he visited the prisoners.
Oh, wow.
Somebody pull that, man.
Wow.
You know, just type in prisoners. It should be in the book of Peter. And then precept that with Isaiah 61 and 1. See, because this Christianity fable, bro, the shit is bugged out, and it's been having stronghold on the minds of our people for hundreds of years, man. And then here it is, you got a Israelite camp, one of the biggest Israelite camps, pushing this bullshit, man. So like Apostle Star said, like, nah, we should, you know, seeing that they so big and they got all this influence, for lack of a better word, they're pushing that bullshit. It's like shit. You know, going back to the basics, man, to counteract that bullshit that they pushing, because there ain't no way in hell, man, an Israelite group should be pushing hell, bro. Ain't no way in hell you talking about hell. Like that is madness, man. You know, but it proves the point of what though? You know, that these guys have to be paid off, bro. They have to be paid off because what Vocab through his, you know, he's a demon, but he's a diligent demon. He put out that video and the correlation between Comfy and what IUIC is doing there, showing you they're following that same. So they being influenced, man. You know, because they following the same. You know, but this is Apostle Ramlah, Acts 10 and 38. It says how the Most High anointed Yahweh Shah of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for the Most High was with him. You know, and that's going to tie into what? Those prisoners, man, in the book of Peter. You know, so can we get that?
Yep. This is 1 Peter 3 in verse 18. It says, "For Mashiach also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to the Most High, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit, by which he also went and preached unto the spirits in prison, which,"
We'll finish up.
it says, "which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of the Most High waited in the days of Noah."
Right, but it says when that were once sometimes disobedient. That was us. We were once sometimes disobedient, man. That's written in Titus 3. That's written in Ephesians 2. You know, but through what? The preaching and the teaching of the gospel of our Lord Yahweh Shai, what happened? The truth set us free. So now we're no longer being or stressed by those spirits, because now we got defense, man. You know, we're not no longer bound to those lusts, you know, to the holds of those different spirits that had a hold of us, man. Because now we have broken that yoke through the anointing, you know, and that ties in with Isaiah 61. Whoever got it,
It's Isaiah 61:1. The spirit of
that's why it says healing those that were oppressed of the devil, because you had the. I'm thinking of a particular. I think it was a little boy, but they said how he threw himself in the water and he threw himself in the fire, and the demon would tear him. So it shows you people that have seizures or those different ailments and diseases that people were suffering through from were demons, man. You know, which Yahweh Shah cast out of them. You know, and this is what this word is doing. So those prisoners represented us being oppressed or us being locked down in sin, you know, through those different lusts and those different, you know, vices that had control over us, man. You know, and now through the acknowledgement of the truth, we are set free from those things. But you got it, bro.
This is Isaiah 61:1. The spirit of Yahweh power is upon me, because Yahweh hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound.
Boom. So that's what Peter was telling us, man. He went to the prisoners, man. You know, he ain't go to no mystical place, man, in hell, man. Why would Yahweh Shai have to go there? That trumps their whole narrative. They say people that's wicked go to hell. Well, the Son of God, why would he have to go to hell? Right. But then hell is an eternal punishment. Why would he go to hell to try to save somebody from going to hell?
If that's where they're supposed to be, why would he go down there to stop them from being where they're supposed to be?
When you like, bro, that shit don't make sense. It's just a bunch of weirdo bullshit put together that people like, no, man.
Mumbo gumbo.
You know, none of that makes sense. But I think that's Isaiah 42. It says that we are a people robbed and spoiled, and we're all in prison houses. You know, so that's talking about our captivities that we sent to, you know, but also us being bound in our sins, man. See, the spirit of our Lord Yahweh Shai spiritually has freed us from that bond of sin and from those spirits, which what? Through our obedience and our faith in Yahweh Shai, he's physically going to free us from this prison house, from this captivity that we're in, man. You know? But you got it. Salaki, you done with what you had, Dyke?
I'll finish it. It says,
And then you get what you got. Yeah, you get that.
It says, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance.
That's good.
Of our power, to comfort all that mourn.
Mm-hmm. To comfort all that mourn. Healing all that was oppressed of the devil. Physically and spiritually, man. You know?
And this gospel is that ointment, man. You know, it says that it healeth all things, roughly paraphrasing.
Right,
they weren't healed by mollifying ointment, but that word that healeth all things. So this is healing us spiritually, all right?
Even physically.
And even physically.
By being obedient, Jake cleaning up their diet, Jake starting to exercise, you know?
Well, even dealing with certain ailments, you know how to
treat them.
You learn how to treat them by going into the herbs, like it tells us to do in the
Sirach.
book of Sirach.
Yep,
man.
yep.
All right, it says if be sick, use the psych, the physic. All right, and it also says you know, go to the herbs if you be sick and don't neglect them. He that is wise will not abhor them. Roughly paraphrasing. So, real medicine, instead of having to lean on Esau, Edom. So that even right there, because in this system, you would have to lean on whatever you got going on in your body, you would have to lean on this devil's medical system, man. All right, but the scriptures tell us how to be healed, to go to the herbs, and then the Lord will guide you in that healing process and give you the knowledge that you need, to deal with what you're dealing with, man.
Just real quick, Psalms 107 and 20. He sent his word and healed them.
Yep.
And delivered them from their destructions.
Yep.
Why do y'all Hashem Yahweh Shai for this word, for this truth? All right, he sent it, he gave it to us, and it's healing us. And I don't want my desire, we ain't never gonna let it go. We're gonna keep on pushing that vibration out there, because the spirit of the Lord, that word is traveling throughout the world, and it's healing the world. It's actually healing the world, but at certain times things get worse before they get better. When you're dealing with certain ailments, it's called it's like detox symptoms, man. So as you're getting all that bullshit out, your body will get, you can get rashes, you can get heavy fatigue. Yeah, so because you're cleaning out that bullshit. So that's what we see, there's a bunch of bullshit going on in this world, but that's a part of the healing process, man. All right, we identified, the problem. We identified the cancer. It says in the book of Sirach, it says that the physician cutteth off a long disease. We identified what's putting the earth not at ease.
Right.
All right, and now we're attacking it with this word. It says that he shall be destroyed by the word and by the spirit of his mouth and the brightness of his coming, roughly paraphrasing. So this word is everything. It's quick, powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing to the dividing asunder. All right, it says, not my word like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces. It said, because you speak my word, I'll make the word of your mouth fire, and these people would. So this is what's eradicating, all right, wickedness. All right, as for faith, it shall flourish, and truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. This truth is bringing wickedness to an end. All right, and everything that we see going on around the world is just a byproduct of this word being broadcasted. It says that this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, then shall the end come. So because that word has been sent out, the end is coming. All right, which is what? The end of this world and the beginning of it that followeth. Wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. So the wisdom is bringing in our kingdom and bringing an end to this kingdom. It says that vice will not prevail against wisdom. This world is full of vices. That's how they got you controlled. They got you controlled off of vices. They put the woman on a pedestal and got you and was able to got you thinking about women all damn day. All right, it's hard to battle that as men, but he made it. He made a society to where these women is out there, and that does something to your brain. It actually releases chemicals in your brain to get you aroused. All right, you seen a bitch at a gym and you can see her nipple. That shit do something to your brain. Just getting on the phone and scrolling.
Now all you want to see is booty.
Now you go into that mode. Now you get hot, and now your brain gets into that mode of being, hot and wanting to deal.
Because he's a cunning hunter.
That's it. Traps.
He hunts your soul. He hunts the souls of men.
Yeah, this nigga know how. Yeah. Like they went into the psychology of how they set up the stores. With the colors and what they put in the front, draw your attention. And this dude study all this, man. And like the brother said, he a cunning hunter. This nigga, look at it physically. This nigga be out in the bush, he'd spray himself with fucking deer piss.
Beer.
This dude's a fucking, but he know how to hunt whatever he's hunting.
Yeah.
So he knows how to hunt men.
He know how to get niggas. He said that he talks about how he searches.
He know how to get the woman.
Exactly.
He know how to play on her mind. He know how to play on the minds of men. This dude is very. That's why I say the heart is deep. This dude is very fucking.
Yeah, that's why. What it says in Proverbs, it says when you go sit before a king, take heed what he said before thee, and put a knife to thy throat if thou be a man of appetite. So you gotta really anything. You gotta understand that. See, our people that don't get it, man. They don't understand that they're being hunted. That's the easiest prey, right? The motherfucker don't know he's hunted, man. You don't know that there's a fucking razor blade in the sandwich, nigga. You don't know there's a hook.
When they reintroduced the wolves into the Yellowstone Park in the early '90s, they were saying how they overkilled the deer. And the reason being is because that generation of deer, the wolves been died off of, I think it was like 40, 50 years or something. So those deer didn't know a wolf was the enemy, you know. So they was just easily attacking the deer until, you know, the deer realized, like, nigga, run.
Yeah.
You know. But that's how Jake is. Jake is deer, and they fucking playing. I don't know if Jake's seen that damn. It's a animal clip of
a baby deer.
Like,
They're getting all.
Tail, but it was playing with the leopard.
Yeah,
you
trying
know,
to get all friendly with it.
There looking at his ass like, I ain't hungry right now.
But shit, I will
Like,
put you up.
Right when my stomach growled.
Yeah.
Like,
Play with it for a little while.
Yeah, but the baby deer didn't know that you playing with danger.
Yeah,
You know, he didn't know that, man. And that's how Jake operate in this society.
Yeah.
You know, they move, they not knowing, bro. There's lions and wolves that you, and your ass a sheep, man. You a lamb. And you just prancing around lions and wolves thinking your ass ain't about to get ate.
Dancing around snares and
So
traps.
Satan has a roaring lion seeketh whom he may devour.
Yeah, and then you got ravening wolves. The Lord's own people, the so-called leaders that's supposed to be guiding, they're ravening wolves, man.
Trying to devour you.
Yeah,
That
but,
nigga IUIC said, yeah, there's a market. You know, there's a
it's
market.
a whole market.
There's a whole market in Africa,
A
Israelites. A market.
He called it a
He
market.
called it a market, yeah.
And that's exactly why Yahweh Shai beats niggas like y'all ass, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because
They make the Lord's house a house of merchandise.
Yeah, it's all about, you know, well, that's Ezekiel 34. The Lord will punish the shepherds that feed themselves and not the flock. Shouldn't you feed the flock? See, they're worried about feeding themselves. That's a market. So they're worried about how much wealth they can accumulate from teaching the word to these people in Africa. Instead of really like, nah, consider like this is for your soul. You know, this is for your salvation. You know, but this is how these major groups look at it, man. It's about getting wealth, man, and money.
Or filthy lucre.
You know, and the men of great millstone, Star Wars apostles on down, have been warning you people, man. So when these things become manifest, man, hey, like brother's been saying, don't fucking come near us, man. You know what I'm saying? The scripture says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. There's gonna be a lot of cats, man, that's been calling us rapists. They've been calling us bums. They've been calling us GMS. They've been talking shit for all these years, man. Once the Lord start bringing judgment upon these different camps and then break up their leadership, man, and these camps start to crumble, then they gonna come try to, man, I knew Great Millstone. I knew you brothers was, I always knew. Nah, nigga, we was talking shit just last year.
Yeah. The Lord's
We was GMS last year. We was rapists. We was bums last year. And the spirit gonna allow us to know you niggas too, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Depart from me, ye workers of iniquity. You know, that could be said to a prophet. Like, nah, nigga, you wasn't with us shooting in the gym. It is Isaiah chapter 42 and 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes. They are hid in the prison houses. They are for a prey and none delivereth, for a spoil and none saith restore. And we're the only ones saying restore. Nobody else is. The true men of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai are the only ones saying restore. These other niggas is talking about 1,000 years here, 30 more years here. They're not looking like the apostles asked. Yahweh Shai in Acts the first chapter, he says that is now the kingdom, is now the time when you shall restore the kingdom unto Israel. Nobody is looking for that but the righteous men of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, these other guys is talking about staying here and building their kingdom here. That's not us being building communities in hell, in prison. That's not us being restored. Israel being restored is us ruling and reigning better than our first estate.
Joining with Islam.
Come on now.
You making the same mistake Jehoshaphat did. Jehoshaphat went and joined together with the northern kingdom in order to help him. And the Lord sent the prophet to say, bro, you love those that hate the Most High? You gonna go help those that scoff the Lord? It says, henceforth, the Lord is angry with you. I'm roughly paraphrasing that, man. So it's showing you these dudes they following their own spirit, man. They're not following what's written, man. You know, but you got it up.
Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear? For the time is to come. For the time to come. Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Did not the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law. These people, they don't understand how the Lord operate, man. They get all emotional and they try to reason how they try to tell the Lord how he's supposed to reason, how he's supposed to think. What type of God would do that?
Well, that's Ezekiel 18.
They say that.
His ways are unequal.
Yeah. And the Lord said, "Are not my ways equal? Are not your ways unequal, O house of Israel?"
Right. He said, "Your thoughts are not my thoughts."
Yeah.
You know, he said, "I am from above, you are from beneath." Man, you can't comprehend the Lord, but that's why the Lord, and that's why again, this is powerful because the Lord put it in us to break this down. Like this is heavy. It says, "Who have the mind of Yahweh Shai Hamashiach?" It says that who should know his counsel, lest he send his spirit in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, 9th chapter. We know what the Lord is about to do to this place. We know how the Lord, we have a glimpse. I won't even say we know, but we have a glimpse of how the Lord operates.
Yeah,
A preview.
You know, these prophecies, are like previews to a movie. That's how I like to compare it, man. You know, when a new movie about to come out, they show you the previews and it show you particular clips that's supposed to grasp your attention so that you can go and pay your money to go watch it. That's how the prophecies are, man.
Draw us in.
You know, they're like previews. You know, and then when you watch the preview, it's like, oh shit, man, look at all the Red Hulk. Oh, then you go watch the movie and then you think, the clip that you seen, you formulated something in your mind. Then when you go actually watch the movie, and it's like, fuck, that ain't how I envisioned it.
Fuck.
You know? So things gotta, that's how the Lord movie is, man. Things play out. Well, how is this preview gonna, unfold? How did they lead to that preview or clip that I seen? How is that gonna unfold in the story, man? You know?
Right, like we know that martial law and all these different things. What's gonna lead to it getting there? And as we're seeing even with World War III, we're seeing that Israel is drawing them into it. What's gonna be the part that's gonna make
what's gonna be the catalyst?
The catalyst to make them niggas over there in the east get angry and then come in, all these different things. But we know that certain things is gonna happen. It says that we right now we see in the glass darkly, but then as we get closer to the coming of our Lord, things are becoming more clear. But I was going to quote that precept. It says that the Lord will give us pastors according to his heart that shall feed us with knowledge and understanding, man. So it's like he's got his men that are set up to think in a way that's according to his heart and his mind,
Yep. One more verse, Isaiah 42:25. Therefore he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger and the strength of battle, and it hath set him on fire round about.
So this is the judgment that the Lord brought for Jake's sins.
Well, hell I know.
And this is the hell that the Lord brought upon Jake. Go ahead.
Yet he knew not.
Yeah, see, these niggas don't know that you in hell already. Hey, man.
This is heaven. That's how bugged out these niggas is, man. These niggas think this is heaven. And look at the state. The brother mentioned it, man. Look at the ghettos. All right. Look how fucking run down that. There's not even real food in the ghettos, man. All that shit. What they got the most fast food places in the fucking ghetto, man. There's no Whole Foods in the ghetto.
Well, shit, the majority of Jake, man, they eating out the fucking corner store.
Yeah.
That's in the ghettos.
Yeah.
They go and get them walking tacos, man. They goddamn corner store fucking ground beef. Put on top of goddamn hot Cheetos or Doritos, man. All that goddamn cheese, and then they throw sour cream on that, Yeah, that's the majority of Jake in the hood. That's their diet. That's what their diet consists of, man. Or goddamn, I know out in Chicago we got fucking JJ's fish.
Pockets.
We got Sharks fish and chicken. So they go and just fried fish and catfish. Majority of these niggas.
Captain Hooks.
But fried catfish, fried perch, fried chicken, and all this shit fried, man. And it's just a horrible fucking diet.
Big
Man.
mama died.
Big Shirley.
The Big Shirley.
You tried to imitate Apostle Ron? That was horrible, bro.
Oh,
That was horrible.
He said,
What the fuck was that?
One of them sounded like that right
It's a Shirley somewhere.
Italian Shirley.
down the road. But yeah, man, hey, this look, man, this shit. Oh man, motherfuckers in the projects. I used to be all the projects in Chicago. You know the candy lady. Oh my God, nothing but fucking
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
Nigga, like,
It's all bullshit. Then you go buy the fucking the barrel, the barrel juices.
yeah.
That's not real juice, bro. That's
Hell
fucking
no.
chemicals, man.
Orange drink.
You know,
It's
and
called
then
drink,
she'll
yeah.
take those barrels and put them in a styrofoam cup and freeze it.
Yeah, freeze pot or freeze
And
cups.
Now we got the freeze cups.
Yeah.
And it's nothing but bro, it's just once again, it's a horrible. It's horrible, man.
I know Esau be looking like, nigga, how is these niggas?
These niggas.
That's what I'm thinking
Hey,
right now.
bro, the scripture says it, man. It says, you sons of Jacob are not
This is
consumed.
the Lord's mercy.
This is the Lord's
So we are
mercy.
not consumed.
That we not consumed. So you can't kill what you did not create, nigga. That's what you're finding out in these last days, man. You can't stop this truth from going out. Everything that's written is gonna happen. You know, you think you trying to flip the script. Nah, you ain't doing nothing but what's written. You know? Everything's moving to prophecy.
It says the pride of his heart has deceived him. Now that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock. You think you about to outsmart the Lord? This crazy ass nigga, man, said that the more that they afflicted him, the more that they afflicted Israel, the more they grew. This devil's doing all this shit, and Jacob still reproducing on a higher level than Esau.
And keep in mind, a lot of these chemicals that he put in the hood, it's meant to make Jake sterile.
Mhm.
The 40s
Chemical
supposed
castration.
to sterilize you.
You said what?
40s, like it was supposed
Oh
to
yeah.
sterilize
Fucking,
Jake.
Bro, they show you that.
Children.
You said 40s.
Yeah.
Cold 40s,
40
Cold
Yeah,
45.
you got a lot of the different, like the red 40s,
Red dyes.
the green,
Mhm.
sick of the blue,
Blue one,
all
yeah.
those shits, man. Those chemicals, man. You know that shit is meant to sterilize,
Chemical
man.
dyes.
They put that in that movie.
Tyrone.
No, not just no. it was-
That's a good one though,
yeah.
because it shows you all that shit was geared toward,
Killing,
Soylent Green.
fucking making Jake docile. and
Yup.
shit.
Black Dynamite. Anaconda Malignant. He said he give you woo, and then he found out that it motherfucking shrunk your shit. You know what I'm saying? When you watch that movie. You know? But hey, the scripture says
was chemical castration.
Yeah.
You know what Pharaoh tried to do, what he was doing physically by killing the firstborns.
Yep.
Esau like, well, shit, you know what? Well, I'm gonna do this chemically.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna do this through the food. I'm gonna do this through juice inoculation.
That's exactly, yeah.
You know,
The elder bishop, I not he was going into it, and how them different shots you take as a shorty, it affects the boys worse than the girls,
Right.
giving them autism.
Yep.
And autism
ADHD.
is at an all-time high right now, man. Like, bro, it's all type of children. They all fucking autistic, man.
On the spectrum.
It's because of the environment. The environment is toxic, man. This is a toxic ass environment. This is hell. When I say we, I'm talking about the nation of Israel, starting with the elect, and also the whole entire planet needs to be saved from this devil. It said if the Lord don't come and shorten the days, no flesh will be saved.
Yeah.
This place is polluted on every level. This place is polluted everywhere you look. It's pollution. There's nothing that's pure in this society. Everything is cancer. See to the answer causing. All right, you got you can't live without the phone. Okay, you can't operate without this motherfucker. But it's got what's this shit called? 5G
Radiation.
constant radiation,
Yeah.
constantly coming in and out of your body, man. All right, the air that we breathe is fucked up. There's chemicals in it. This thing is intense.
that breaks down your immune
Man.
system.
Heavy metals. All right. Oh, there's bunch of plastic being found. Autopsies is being done within the past 4 or 5 years, and there's a bunch of fucking plastic being found.
They came out.
Microplastics like
Yeah,
that, man.
they came out with a report saying, if you drink water bottles throughout the year, like water out of your water bottles, then you have enough microplastics in your system to make a credit card. Throughout at the end of the year, you got enough microplastics to shape a credit card, man.
Well, the BPA that's in the plastic, it attacks testosterone, produces estrogen. But I'll finish on this Isaiah 42 and 25. It says there.
And all that was the illustration of the because this is all judgment that the Lord brought upon us. That's that fire, that's that hell that the Lord put us in.
Yeah.
And the majority of these jakes don't even know that you know.
That the Lord is fucking them up.
Yeah.
Therefore he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger and the strength of battle, and it hath set
And the
him.
strength of battle. Showing you that we're in a battle. Who are our enemies? Esau, Edom. This is who we fighting. And the Lord said that the serpent in the seed of the woman.
Enmity.
You know, there's another one. He will have war with Amalek, generation to generation, man. So you gotta identify who the enemy is, who we had battle with, man. You know.
Some people forgot who the enemy is, man, to the point where they trying to save it,
Bro,
you know. It's crazy.
Stockholm syndrome is at an all-time high right now.
Well, I think that was I think Nat Turner did that, man, if I'm not mistaken. You know. Yeah, it was like you know, he set forth a plan in motion, and he was like, "Look, we about to attack these Edomites, man. We about to get this done, and these jakes that ain't with it, we got to get them out of the way first." You know, see all these dudes that's trying to save Esau and all this shit, man. The Lord gonna be you gonna be the first ones. The Lord get your ass clean out of the way, man. You know, and he gonna use Esau to do it.
Yeah,
Hey, lovers.
Yeah.
Will despise me.
You know, you want to say this dude, and you want to constantly, I love Esau. You want to constantly mention about what about him? The Lord gonna put you in a situation where these Edomites gonna do you dirty, man. You know. But let's finish it up.
It says, therefore he hath poured upon him the fury of his anger and the strength of battle, and it hath set him on fire round about, yet he knew not, and it burned him, yet he laid it not to heart. Don't even enter into these niggas' mind, like, and because they don't know that they're in hell, they're not even looking for salvation. But the Lord opened up our mind, and he gave us a heart to understand, to realize, bro, this is fucking hell, and we need to get saved.
Yeah, we're in the midst of the fire right now.
Yeah.
What you said, the iron furnace, that what they called Egypt. Well, we in Egypt all over again, man.
Yeah.
You know.
And in order for us to get delivered out of this Egypt, plagues got to get sent to this place, man. The Lord's power has to be shown, and his name has to be. It's the same thing as ancient Egypt, all right. Except this time, the Lord's only going to save a very small few, a very small remnant, all right. The ones that want to be saved, the ones that want to, get up out of here, all right. These niggas want to stay in Egypt. You niggas can stay in the iron furnace. Right. You niggas can stay here and get torched when it actually turns to it, because this place is gonna actually get turned to a fucking furnace, man. It says the day shall come, which it shall burn like an oven.
Tophet, man. Yeah. Which that word Tophet means a place of burning. It shall no longer be called the Valley of Hinnom, but the Valley of Slaughter. This is what this place spiritually is. The spiritual Tophet. And that's the the third aspect of hell, where Yahweh Shah said hellfire. You go into that Greek word for hell is Gehenna, which that's a Greek word that comes from a Hebrew word, which goes into the Valley of Hinnom, man. Which is what? The place of Tophet. You see? And that goes back to Apostle Ramla did that lesson, I want to say it was last year, with that article that was going into the word, I have not, and went into that, man. So, and man, it's very key, man. It's very important, man, to understand, not only, words going into the Greek words, Hebrew words, but also understand the culture, exactly, the cultural, idioms, for lack of a better word. An idiom is an analogy, or, like to understand that. Right. Because to understand that allows us to understand it today, because putting what Yahweh Shah said in modern terms, he was saying, like, look, make sure you doing what's right in the sight of God, or your ass gonna get thrown in a fucking garbage incinerator. Like how today you got the garbage dumps and the incinerators that burn. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what it was in the ancient world, man. The Valley of Hinnom was used as a place to throw away garbage and to burn, dead carcasses and shit like that. So it's likening unto today, where today we have garbage dumps. Today we have places to where they take and just burn and burn the shit, man.
It's a continual burning.
Exactly.
So it's
the people that heard him were able to relate and be like, oh shit. This is why he spoke about farming, husbandry. This is why he spoke about shepherding, being a shepherd, because our people were very familiar with those different things back then. But see, now when we read the Bible today, and Jake don't know how to fucking take care of cattle. Jake ain't never fucking made a furrow and planted and built with crops.
Tilled the ground.
So now you're reading the Bible, and the Bible is referencing these plowing and sowing, is referencing taking care of cattle, being a shepherd, and We have lost that. It's like, oh, you know. So it really takes us, you know, going back into the culture and understanding what was going on back then to understand the analogies and the things that were being used in the Bible today, you know.
Or like yeah. How does it say he had given you double thy sins?
Right, Isaiah 40. Isaiah 40, you know. Double, meaning it was folded. Meaning it was paid. The cover was tabbed. The tab was covered. The cover was tabbed. The tab was covered, you know. So Yahweh Shah paid our debt, you know.
This is back in Acts chapter 2 and verse 27. It says, "Because thou would not leave my soul in hell."
Even understanding, you know, the ceremonies that we would have with marriage back then, you know, then you will understand what was taking place in Matthew the 1st chapter, when it talks about how Joseph and Mary, she was pregnant before they came together. Then when we understand the culture and how they did things, then it brings to light those different things, man. You know, it makes sense, and it's like, oh shit, okay. Because there was a set day to where they would have a feast. They had a back room prepared, you know. The time the worms from the garbage don't crawl to the nearby vegetation in the earth. That's it. That's it. The outskirts. Yep. So when Yahweh Shah said that, he was talking about, bro, there's no escaping this judgment. There's no escaping this destruction. You know? Yep.
This is back in Acts chapter 2 and verse 27. It says, "Because thou would not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption." Now, you know, the brother, you know, he spoke about the Gehenna in the New Testament. There's two words for hell. You either got the Gehenna, which the brother just spoke about, or you have this word Hades, man. And Hades is the equivalent to the grave, right? Now,
which is equivalent to the Hebrew word Sha'al.
Sha'al, which in that Psalm 16, I know the brother was holding it, but another brother can grab that Psalm 16, you know, where this is quoted from, you know, to show you that it's the equivalent of the grave. But this is the book of, or this is that word Hades.
Read the verse again, bro, and then go into the word.
All right, this is the book of Acts 2 and 27. "Because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption." All right, so the word for hell here in this precept, it says Hades. Now, this is where they try and throw in this Greek mythology and everything like that, which is all cunningly devised fables, because here in the blue letter, it says, "Name Hades or Pluto, the god of the lower regions, Orcus, the netherworld, the realm of the dead, and Yahweh Shai." All right, you know, these men weren't talking about, you know, Greek gods and making these different things. No, these are different, you know, things that were added throughout time that people adopted and associated it with the Bible. Those cunningly devised fables, man. But it says later use of this word, the grave, death, and hell, right? And it should be the grave, you know. But my brother got that in the book of Psalms.
Psalm 16 and 10, it says, "For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thy Holy One to see corruption."
Now, when you go into this word hell, it should be the Hebrew word shawal.
Sha'al. Well, forgot it. Go ahead and read it.
It says the Shawal. It says underworld. It says grave, and it says pit. Hell pit.
Right, and this word should be translated in the New Testament as the grave, right? And just the proof of that is 1 Corinthians 15. 1 Corinthians 15, and what's that? The last verse, or death, where's thy sting, O grave? Or
I got it even in its definition. It says the Old Testament.
The Old Testament designation for the abode of the dead, for the grave. But it's talking about the grave, and it's at 1 Corinthians 15 and 55. Go ahead, Doc.
1 Corinthians 15 and 55. "O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory?"
It says, "O grave, where is thy victory?" Now, going to that word grave, Sean.
Hades.
Right, so it's the word Hades,
Which is equivalent to what? Hell.
which is equivalent to hell.
So hell and the grave is synonymous. It's the same Greek word Hades.
Yep. So there you go, right there.
That's it. Yep, that's it. Nah. Yeah, we could read. Go ahead. We can read into it.
So just to touch up on the other point,
Because we already touched on the condition. We just touched on the physical ground, being a grave. That's also called hell as well, And now when Yahweh Shah spoke about what? The hellfire, he was speaking about the judgment to come upon this place in the end, which is what? The thermonuclear destruction.
That's right.
That's going to sweep America clean, man.
That's right.
So you got it.
Brother can grab that Mark 9:43, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yep.
Mark 9:43. And if thy hand offend thee, cut it off. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than having two hands to go into hell.
They're talking about what? If there's a member of the church that ain't moving or acting properly, man, then what? You remove him from the church. That's what it's saying. He ain't saying. There was a movie, Idle Hands, man, that was made. I think it was the early 2000s. But dude's hand got possessed by a demon.
Yeah.
And it was killing people. So he had to cut off his hand, and then when he cut it off, the hand started moving by itself and shit. That ain't what the Lord is saying, man. He ain't saying, oh, you just can't stop, cut your hand off, pluck your eye out. No, it's talking about a member of the body, man. You got a member of the church, and he just can't get right, and he ain't getting it, and then you got to get that man his walking papers, man. This is what Yahweh Shah is telling us. Go ahead.
It is better for thee to enter into life maimed, having two hands to go into hell. Oh, sorry, it says, then having two hands to go into hell, into the fire that never shall be quenched, where the worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched.
Boom, where the worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. So he said it's better for you to go through that instead of going into hell. So let's go into that.
Yeah, now that word, could you pull up that word hell in the blue letter real quick, Mark Shah?
Yeah.
Should it say fit symbol when you read down?
Yeah, but break it down first. Matter of fact, I got it for you. That was Mark
9:43.
9:43. This is the Greek word for hell is G1067. It's the Greek word Gehenna, which it tells you is of a Hebrew origin, which comes from what? Two different Hebrew words. So the first word is Gaya'ah, which means a valley. You see? So Gehenna goes back to the Hebrew Gaya'ah, right? Which means a valley. And the second word is Hanam. So Gehenna goes back to the Hebrew word Gaya'ah Hanam, which means what? Valley of Himnah, or Valley of Lamentation. You see? And it's an actual place in our land where you had Jake that was what? Sacrificing their children. I think that's Jeremiah. Go ahead, read that out.
It's Jeremiah 7:31. And they have built the high places of Tophet, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire.
So this was a place of sacrifice, man. Go ahead.
Which
I think it was Josiah, if I'm not mistaken, that fucking destroyed. He filled it up. And then after that time, they started to use it as a
Trash.
as a place of trash and different things, But go ahead up.
Which
and I'm just going off of memory, so Salaki, if I'm missing on certain aspects. But go ahead, bro.
Which I commanded them not, neither came it into my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick, I'm gonna just read this in the Zondervan. I got it up on my phone. So this is the word Gehenna in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. It says Gehenna, Valley of Hinnom, a valley on the west and southwest of Jerusalem, which form part of the border between Judah and Benjamin. It says here Ahaz, 2 Chronicles 28:3, see 2 Kings 16:3, and Manasseh, 2 Chronicles 33:6, see 2 Kings 21:6, sacrificed their sons to Molech. All right, so you got to understand that our people during the time that Yahweh Shah was on the scene, they knew this history. All right, they knew this history. So going back to that blue letter definition, could you finish reading it out real quick before I finish that?
It says back in the Greek, hell is the place of a future punishment called Gehenna or Gehenna. This was originally the valley of Hinnom that we just read in Jeremiah 7, south of Jerusalem, where the filth and dead animals of the city were cast out and burned. a fit symbol of the wicked and their future destruction.
Right, it says a fit symbol. All right. Why is it a fit symbol? Well, that's what happened there. We read about it. They said that it was a burning place, right? And we know about the destruction. The brother, I think he quoted in Malachi, the day that shall burn as an oven. In the book of Zechariah, the 14th chapter, it talks about what? You standing upon your feet and your tongue being consumed away, your mouth as you stand, your eyes being consumed away because of what? The fire, the intense heat. So understanding the future judgment, this is why the Lord used it as a symbol, because Jake knew that's where they were burning people alive at. Certain children got burned alive there, as we read about the certain kings that they quoted.
Well, even during the time of Yahweh Shai is where the garbage got burned.
Yeah.
So they knew that fire continued to burn. So when Yahweh Shai made that statement, it was like, oh shit.
Like, fucking
We're gonna
burned
get
alive.
thrown in. Exactly.
Burned alive? Like, nah. So it was like, that was a heavy, heavy judgment, but they understood that. But it says back in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary for Gehenna, it says, for this reason, Josiah defiled the place, 2 Kings 23:10, after referring to the idolatrous barbarities, Jeremiah 7:31 and 32. Jeremiah prophesies a great slaughter of the people there, and in the siege of Jerusalem, Jeremiah 19:1-13. It says, after the Old Testament period, Jewish apocalyptic writers began to call the Valley of Hinnom the entrance to hell, later hell itself. But it says after that Old Testament period, all right, so it wasn't no concept of this, place where you go underground and burn forever and everything like that. All right, before that, it says after the Old Testament period, that's when they started saying, oh, this is the entrance to hell. Those Jewish apocalyptic writers, man. So they started incorporating, Greek gods into it, mixing this and mixing that, cunningly devised fables, which goes into that Paradise Lost, which I got a little excerpt from it if you want to.
Well, I just want to read this real quick.
Yeah.
This is from ChristianityOriginal.com. This is a article that the Apostle Ramlov used in his lesson. I think, like I said, I think it was a year ago when he did the lesson. But this is a ChristianityOriginal.com. It says, I'm gonna just go straight to the point. Paragraph 7, Gehenna Valley. It says the curious case of the undying worms, because it says what? That where their worm dieth not. So it says, Yahweh Shah says in Gehenna, the worms that eat them do not die, and the fire is not quenched. This is Mark 9, 47 and 48, that's what we read, that Mark 9 and 43 on down. It says, many assume that it must be only in a mystic hell that worms don't die, even in fire. Isn't that the case? Only those who know Yahweh Shai's first century Gehenna Valley will know the true meaning of this phrase. Even today, we know that fire is kept continually burning in the city waste burners. In the same fashion, fires were kept burning, not quenched, in the Gehenna Valley of that time. But why did the worms not die? Because while the fires used to burn at the bottom of the Gehenna Valley, it was in the vegetation that lined the slopes of the valley that the worms thrived. And these worms did not die because they were maggots that eventually turned into flies. What does Yahweh Shah signify with all these in terms of the Gehenna Valley? Dead bodies thrown into the Gehenna Valley would be destroyed by the fires burning below. The ones that might get stuck in the slopes would be consumed by worms. Bodies dumped into Gehenna would be destroyed one way or another without fail. Likewise, sinners cannot escape destruction is the point Yahweh Shah is making. You see? So it's going into what? The fit symbol of destruction that's to be brought. In the book of Amos, what did it say? That you shall flee from a lion and a bear met him. You shall flee from the bear, run into a house where you think you're safe, and a serpent going to bite him, man. So there's no escaping this judgment that the Lord has has pronounced against this place, man.
He said in Jeremiah, bring evil upon this people which they shall not be able to escape.
Did we read Isaiah 5?
No.
We did.
You want to read it, brother?
Oh, yeah. It's Isaiah 5. I guess I'll start at that's a lot. It's Isaiah 5. I'll start at 11. Woe to them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them, and the harp and the viol and the tabret and pipe and wine are in their feast, but they regard not the work of Yahweh, neither consider the operations of his hands. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. And the honorable man are famished, and the multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore, hell hath enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoices shall descend into it. So that shows like the hellish conditions. Jake going on slave ships, Esau coming here slaughtering the northern kingdom. That was hellish conditions, all the way up until this day. You know.
Yep, and that's what happened to Jacob. This was about to happen to what it says in Baruch 4, miserable are the cities which thy children have served, which I'm quoting that because Isaiah 14 says hell, it says the same thing, hell has enlarged herself. It says hell shall meet thee at thy coming. You know, so America is about to be brought down. You know, that Capernaum that the brother read earlier, man, you was exalted unto heaven, but you shall be brought down to hell. You know, so America's about to go through some hellacious conditions, man. And ultimately, what's going to happen is going to be brought down to the grave, meaning it's going to be utterly destroyed, you know? And it talks about what? Eternal damnation or eternal destruction, which that's not a place that's going to burn forever, man. You know, in Jude, the first chapter, which is only one chapter, but in Jude, it talks about Sodom and Gomorrah being judged according to eternal fire. I'm roughly paraphrasing that. Well, Sodom and Gomorrah ain't still burning right now. But what? But nothing grows there. So that's eternal judgment. You see? Which lines up with Wisdom of Solomon in the 10th chapter. Somebody pulled that for me. Wisdom of Solomon 10. It says he fled from the when the ungodly perished, when the righteous man was delivered.
10 and 6.
Like 6 or 7.
Verse 6.
Yeah, okay.
This is Wisdom of Solomon 10 in verse 6. It says, when the ungodly perished, she delivered the righteous man who fled from the fire which fell down upon the 5 cities.
So it's talking about the deliverance of Lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
It says
And
of
quoted that Baruch, the 4th chapter, miserable are the cities. When you continue to read down, it says fire shall come upon them.
Long
from
to
the,
endure.
Yeah, long to endure from the everlasting.
Yep.
You can read after this.
verse 7. Wisdom of Solomon 10 and verse 7. Of whose wickedness even to this day the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony.
You see? So Sodom and Gomorrah is a testimony. I roughly quoted that Jude 7. Because when Yahweh Shah talk about eternal destruction or eternal fire, it ain't talking about a fire that's going to just burn forever. You know, no, America's going to be on fire for a long time. And then afterwards, when the smoke clears, desert creatures going to inhabit this place. Forever. You know, so how can a cormorant or a bittern dwell in this place if it's on fire forever, man? You know, so just understanding, you know, the wording of the scriptures, man. You know, because it'll say everlasting, word to say forever. But when you go into that word, I will and it goes into a period of time, you know, or age, yeah. You know, so it could mean ever and everlasting, or it could mean just a long time. So it's just knowing the context of what we're reading. You know, it's very key. You know, but go ahead.
Jude, oh, you want to keep reading?
Yeah, finish that Wisdom of Solomon and hit that Jude.
It's verse 7 again. It says, of whose wickedness even to this day the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony, and plants bearing fruit that never come to ripeness, and a standing pillar of salt is a monument of an unbelieving soul.
Right. So those lands, even to this day, is an example, man. Which America is going to be that eternal example. You see? Jump over to Jude.
Yep, it's Jude chapter 1 and verse 7. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire.
Right. So now we know that that place didn't burn forever, but it burned for a long time, and then afterwards, what? Nothing grew there. You see? So America is going to be that latest example, man. You know, you could go ahead, bro.
This is Baruch chapter 4 and verse 34. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning.
And that's why the niggas is killing themselves right now, man. Suicide is, you know, on the uprise. All right, violent crimes is on the uprise. and it's going to continue to increase because things are going to get worse and worse. That squeeze, this serpent is putting that squeeze upon the world, specifically America. All right, he's squeezing, and soon he's going to put his fangs into the people and inject that poison within to them, man. All right, the earliest use of the word karagna outside of the Bible, the definition of it was a bite of a serpent. And when you look at the syringe that they use to inject the sea hip, all right, it looks just like the fangs of a serpent. So that's the mark of the beast. Yeah.
It says, verse 35, for fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure, and
long to endure is going to be burnt the fuck up for a long time. The apostles mentioned how the smoke of the Twin Towers was going up for some weeks.
They said months.
Damn, months. And that was it. That wasn't even the whole city.
That was 3 buildings.
That was 3 buildings. How much more the whole, bro? Was it 5,000? Was it 5,000 square feet?
Square miles.
And 5,000 square miles, all this shit burnt up, man.
Decent amount of destruction.
It's gonna be smoking, man. Go ahead.
I got something real quick. Hold on, I'm in the finish. Go ahead.
All right, it says, for fire, verse 35, for fire shall come upon her from the everlasting, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time.
Yep. And she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time, which lets us know that lies on Revelation 18. So what Baruch was saying there, that wasn't referencing ancient Babylon. That was talking about what? Our captivity here today.
Yeah. Fire didn't fall upon ancient Babylon.
Yep.
It was just absorbed by conquered by the Persians and the Medes.
This is Isaiah 34:5. It says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. And modern day Idumea is here in America. This is the place of the Lord's judgment, right? And the people that run it. It says, verse 6, the sword of Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, and with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For Yahweh Basham Yahushua hath they slaughter in Basra, hath they sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. So these people that refuse to obey, they're going to be the Lord's sacrifice, man. They represent the lambs, they represent those goats, they represent, those sacrificial animals, man. The Lord's going to appease his wrath, upon these people. This verse 7, and the unicorn shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their blood shall be soaked, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever. So ain't nobody about to dwell here no more, man. And the smoke of this place, the fire is going to burn for a while. And then afterwards, when it dies out, what's going to happen? Verse 11, the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. This is these devils that we just read about in Baruch. The owl also and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness, man. So you ain't gonna know where the fuck New York started, or welcome to when we go back and forth to Chicago, welcome to Illinois, welcome to Iowa. You ain't gonna see none of that shit, man. This is the border for this county, and all that shit about to be cleansed. But you can jump back. If y'all got precepts,
I was just waiting for they was coming out. You know what I'm saying? So
Read it.
This Revelations 20 and 14. It says, "And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death." And that second death is the fire that the Lord about to bring unto this place. He destroyed it the first time with water. This time is with fire, man. And that's what, because you can't put what's the other scripture that say you put hell in to hell or something like that? So the hell is here in America where he about to burn this place down, you know?
Well, that's it right
Yeah.
there. It says,
Oh, this
Well, yeah, and it lines up with 1 Corinthians 15 that the brothers read earlier. It says, "O death, where is thy victory? O grave, where is thy sting?" Where it says death and hell, that word hell is the grave. The death in the grave. See, once this destruction comes and we're delivered and we're changed, it ain't gonna be no more death or sorrow or grave for us, man.
Right.
You know, so death and hell gonna be cast into the lake of fire concerning what? The Israelites. You know? Because under the new covenant, man, we're not gonna be able to sin.
Right.
So death and hell, man, is gonna be a thing of the past after this destruction takes place. You know?
But even like that saying, the so-called white man's heaven and the so-called black man's hell. Will show you the conditions. When Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is in rulership, and he's on top. The so-called black man, the Israelites, is on the bottom, and it's vice versa. The so-called black man's heaven is Esau's hell.
Well, that's the loop, the parable.
Exactly.
You know?
16.
Yeah.
Trading places. All right, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom shall be translated from one people to another. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say Deuteronomy 28 and 1 through 14. That's our heaven.
Yeah.
All right. Shit, 15 on down to 68. That was the hell we went through. You know, but we gonna experience that 1 through 14, man.
Yep. And even like Pops was saying, that hell is cast into the lake of fire. Once this destruction takes place, those curses going with it. You know, so that hell that we experience, man, is gonna pass away when the Lord brings forth this second death as well. You know,
there should be no more curse.
And then that Deuteronomy 30 and 7 gonna really kick in.
That's
right?
it. That's a
You know,
well, it's gonna translate right over. You know, because once the Lamentations, you know, the cup passed from us, it's about to get it in. So after the second death, we done. You know, but now it's the start of what? They sitting at that table. Now you got to drink this cup,
Right.
a double cup at that.
Right.
You know,
I got a break. Maybe 6 and 9, but you got it. This second Ezra chapter 7 and verse 43, just line backing on what Jake was saying. It said, "But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past." You know, and that corruption gonna be done away. You know, when the Lord comes, He gonna put laws in our inner parts. That's the beginning of that immortality. It's gonna be done away for the Israelites. Like you mentioned.
that's it. That's it. You got something else, Pop?
That was it.
Got something over there, my shot?
Yeah,
Lord Jake, speak up, man. Don't just look at this nigga just looking at me. Shit, say you got a precept, brother. He trying to put a thought in my mind.
Precept,
You got it out.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, just backing up with what he called this shit. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt become down very low. Just backing up, this is dealing with the person, but when it says very low, that's meaning
The condition.
Got to the ground, man. But it's gonna be opposite. Sitting the dust on Virgin. This place about to be literally put in the dust.
It said to add to you that Isaiah 47.
Mm-hmm.
It says a grind meal,
Mm-hmm.
uncover the locks.
Yep. Make bare the
Royalty don't grind meal, bro.
Right. That's work.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
slavery.
Royalty has servants to go out and plow the fields, to do the grinding, to do the churning of milk and butter.
Yeah.
You got servants to do that. So here it is. The Lord is telling America, like, you're going to grind those meals, meaning you're going to be brought down into a state of servitude.
Yeah.
So that's what's about to happen to the elites of this society, man. You know, they're about to be the servants. What it says in Amos, it says that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, man. So this was about to happen, man. The trading of places is about to take place. You know, and it's going to happen upon what? When the Lord send the hellfire upon the earth, which is the second death. You know, so I don't know if brothers got any last statements or precepts. You know, I feel like that was a good covering of, you know, we touched on reincarnation at the beginning of the lesson to show you that the Lord's judgment is like a ring. You know, we touched on the aspect of hell as a condition, you know, the actual grave, you know, and also, you know, the judgment that the Lord has pronounced against this place in the end. You know, so those are the different aspects of hell. You know, so the scriptures don't tell us about some mystical ass place. you know, that's burning forever, that you go there as punishment, man. You know, it don't say that. So you got camps or groups out there that's saying that, man. You know, they're showing you that they're not of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You know, they're not of the Heavenly Father and His Son. And we have been telling you that, starting with all apostles on down. And it starts with what? Them not proclaiming the names. They telling you can have sex on the Lord's Sabbath day. You know, and many other things that it's so much more,
Yeah.
man. You
God's
know,
coming back.
Yeah.
1,000 years.
heathen gonna rise up the kingdom. You know, it's madness, man. You know? So we gonna end it there, man. We hope and pray that this was edified. Kawadi Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushua, give us the spirit to do this lesson. We can give all praises, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Ba'asham, HaKadosh.
double honors to our apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, salutations to all you brothers preaching the gospel of truth and in sincerity, all in charity. Kawada for tuning in with us through the spirit. We're gonna say shalom.
Shalom.
Kwam Yashala.
Kwam Yasharal.